Hello and welcome to Loppy Loves Iceland. If you haven't been here before, my name is Lauren and on this channel I talk about my life as an immigrant living in Iceland. And today I am talking to James, who is originally from Scotland. He did live here in Selfoss and he was living in Iceland for almost a decade but has recently returned home. He is also one of the presenters and co-founders of the Good, the Bad, the Brain Dead podcast. So let's get into the interview. All right, hello James. Well,
Hello.
so I'm here with James. Would you like to just give a quick intro of yourself?
Sure. Yep. My name's James. 32. I lived in Iceland for 9 years, and I'm now currently living back in my hometown in a little town called Cumbernauld, just outside of Glasgow.
Great, and welcome. So
Thank you.
yeah, so you've already answered the first question. Lived in Iceland for 9 years, and
That's right.
yeah. So why did you actually move to Iceland in the first place?
There was no clear-cut answer, like one answer why. It was just one of those times. I just turned 23. I'd been thinking about like sort of like do I travel? Do I do this? Do I do that? Still trying to find myself outside after finishing school and whatnot. Was just in that crossroads where I technically could leave without anything. There was nothing holding me there. So, and I just so happened to know somebody, one of my old childhood friends was half Icelandic. So I had ties back there anyway. We lost touch for a few years, got back in touch the couple of years before I moved, and then just decided one drunk night on a bottle of Jack Daniels decided, wouldn't it be crazy if I just moved over here and just lived over here when I'd visited the year before, and yeah, we just got talking, and yeah, he just like we thought, that'd be crazy, right? And sort of gave the side eye and thought, why don't we? Why don't I do that? So yeah, decided give it a year, see how long it lasts. If it works out, great. If it don't, then it's just something else to add to the old CV. Um, but then yeah, another year followed, and then just 2 years turned into nine, and yeah, I pretty
Mhm.
much just stayed there a lot longer than I anticipated.
Yeah. So how long after that like drunken decision did you end up in Iceland? Like
I visited in July 2014,
yeah.
and I was living in Iceland by July 30th, 2015.
Right.
So within a year.
Okay. Brilliant.
I probably would have done it faster, but I had a few personal things I had to
Yeah,
take
of
care of
course.
here, and it was before Brexit, so it was a lot easier to move to Iceland before the whole Brexit thing with the UK.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, still a year I think is quite sudden. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
my folks certainly thought so when I dropped the bombshell for them.
Mine was 6 months from my first trip to just living here.
Oh,
There was like no planning
Jesus.
whatsoever. Very, very impulsive. Okay, and so what was that still the reason that you stayed in Iceland so long? I guess because of your friend or
No, not really, because like things happen in life. I stayed with my friend and his partner at the time. I within about a year and a half, I'd moved out, got my own place because I didn't want to live under their feet. Like things didn't work out. We lost contact. He moved away. He now lives outside of Iceland. I don't really know where he is at the moment, but by that point, I just sort of like I just made my own sort of little community of friends, made other friends, and that was pretty much like living inside my work for the first couple of years because like living in Iceland is expensive,
yeah.
and getting your own place, like you need to sort of have like a good nest egg. So yeah, I mean, I pretty much just met a lot of people through work and through friends of friends, and yeah, I mean, I think the most reason why I stayed there is just my own personal stubbornness. Like if I'm wanting to see something through, I want to see it through to the bitter end. I'm not one to usually quit easily.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was just a mixture of things. Just wanting to, show my folks that I could stand on my own 2 feet without having to ask for help.
Yeah. I understand that. And so do you speak Icelandic?
Yeah, kind of has small íslenska.
Yeah.
A little bit. I mean, I've never really expected to be fluent in Icelandic because it's very, very difficult to learn.
Mhm.
I will say that the friends that I did make, because of the time that I'd moved over, it was more modern. English was more widely spoken.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you had those people that were willing to sort of teach it to you.
Hmm.
And I would, of course, I would learn it, but it was a lot easier because they knew much more English than I knew Icelandic.
Yeah.
So, being able to hold a conversation that extends outside of work. So, I mean, like
Yeah.
whenever I would work in a certain place, I would always make sure that I knew enough Icelandic to do my job
Yeah.
and communicate with the bosses
Hmm.
through Icelandic because they do appreciate that you're
Yeah.
learning the language. But with the younger people that want to talk not work related stuff, other things, TV shows and whatnot, it's a
Yeah.
lot easier for both people to do it in English. So I guess I could have learned a little bit more, but I took German in high school, and my German teacher always said that if you translate through a dictionary word for word, you're going to sound like Yoda, like broken English, like sort of
Hmm.
out of place. And I always thought to myself, if I could just sound like Icelandic Yoda and just be like, get halfway through the conversation and they sort of can fill in the blanks, then I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
And I think I mastered that pretty well.
Yeah. I think that's good actually. I think it's good advice as well. Get yourself understood. And so did you face any other struggles like learning Icelandic besides just, the communication issues and
And you always get the jokes like where they'll try and teach you like something that means hello, good day, but it
oh
actually is
God,
like a
yeah.
swear word or something,
Yeah.
the classics. But luckily I never had that happen to me
Yeah.
because the person that I knew from school, he was half Icelandic. Even though he was half Icelandic, he was about as useful Icelandic as I was. But
Yeah.
he got tricked out of that. He was a lot younger when he moved back. So,
Yeah.
so he actually got caught out of that, but I never really got. A few people tried to, but no, I managed to avoid that. But no, I mean, uh, Iceland as a whole is just it's quite daunting. The language itself is daunting. I would say that like personal experience was when I first moved. I was maybe like literally 2 weeks into the country, and I was working at a store. I was working at Bonus.
Yeah.
Shout out to the pig, and I was working at like the register and dealing with an older Icelandic person, and unfortunately, majority of well, not majority, but like more times than not, it's the older generation that
Yeah.
are less
Yeah.
patient with
Mhm.
like new people that are learning it. So, but luckily there was somebody there when that person was giving me a bit of stick. There was a person behind her that was sort of what I can surmise was, sort of like give them a break, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
something like that. So they did come to my rescue. It's just like anywhere else, really. It's different cultures are different, generations and that, and things move so fast. So I mean, like, I never took it personally, but yeah, definitely, like, you have to sink or swim when it comes to learning the language for sure.
Yeah. It is definite. Yeah. It's really difficult as well, isn't it? And when you've got people like that that are, not very patient as well, it's really
Yeah,
hard.
but not a dig at Icelanders and
No, no, of course.
personally. I mean, that's the same the world over, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
But that's my own personal take from it.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you miss anything about Iceland now that you're not here? Or is there anything that like you appreciate now that you've left?
Uh, a bit of both, to be honest. I
Mhm.
mean, uh, I guess like everyone like and especially in the UK at the moment, we're seeing a lot more Northern Lights, but having that just happen naturally
Yeah.
on your doorstep was amazing. You did take it for granted after a while. I know I did because it became like a common talking point at work. Did you see the
Yeah.
Northern Lights? I couldn't be bothered getting out of my bed. It was too comfortable, something like that. So not something that you'd hear everywhere else in the world. But yeah, I suppose like just how just naturally beautiful the Icelandic sort of country as a whole
Yeah.
is something I'll miss. Um, Something I don't miss is the cold. Yeah, like that's something that I would have never gotten used to had I stayed there. Uh, yeah, like just like the wind itself, it just cuts right through you.
Yeah. I've always the cold never bothered me, but I'd say like the last 2 years now, I'm getting really fed up of it in the winter. And
Oh,
I'm just like,
really?
yeah, yeah. And the wind has
But
just
but this is
started again, and I'm like, no, I'm not ready this year.
but this is coming from someone that makes snow angels and like
Yeah,
receives the
yeah. I still I
snowdrops.
still love the snow. So I wouldn't mind it as much if it was just snow. But now the wind is just like it's just really getting to me now and I'm like, no, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
I'd love
this
it
is
still. There was no wind, what's, well, or just not as much.
it's the it's the wind that does it. I mean,
Yeah.
like the cold is kind of whatever, but because of just everything's flat, or flat or like rocky mountain, there's just nothing to like block the wind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, you know that this is why Icelanders all go to Tenerife and stuff in the winter, just to sort of break up the cold.
hmm Maybe there should be like a big, like a lot of investment into like a big windbreaker or something around the country. Or
Well, yeah,
that'd be great,
put a
wouldn't it?
big tarpaulin over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So, okay, next, what did you enjoy the most about living in Iceland?
yeah. I know it seemed a bit contradictory, but I mean, I felt like every day was a school day.
hmm
Like you can get so comfortable in your own country, in your own like sort of environment, and you just sort of go through the motions. You don't really learn anything. But even if I was just learning like one phrase a day or something, was it really did feel like that it was I was learning stuff,
hmm
and like I did appreciate that. Meeting new people, and I don't know, just it felt like if it just felt interesting speaking to like, especially Iceland has like got a lot of tourists coming through.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt
Mhm.
like you were meeting new people every day almost,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially where we lived in like the south,
Yeah.
So I mean,
Mhm.
it's yeah, I just I guess that was one of the things, yeah, and the weird and wacky food as well.
What was your, is there any food that you missed then while we're on the topic? Like, or any?
I mean, I I don't really miss it. I mean, I think it was just like it was always a good talking point was
Yeah.
the stingray scatter.
Oh
It
my,
would
yeah.
always make it would always
Trauma.
make people like scatter out of a room.
Yeah.
That is a unique smell.
It's the worst. Yeah. And we actually had that at work a few weeks ago in the kitchen. Middle of like
Really,
yeah, yeah. Not Christmas or anything. So for anyone watching, scatter is just like a fermented ray, skatefish or a ray, but it's yeah, it just comes in a bucket of its own liquid and it is
really selling this.
just smells horrendous when you open the bucket. I usually
There's
get
not
put in
many
the
foods
kitchen at
that
work.
cling to your.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
clings to everything. Yeah, and I always get put in the kitchen at work on the day that we serve it, and it sticks in your hair, it sticks on your clothes. Like the smell just lasts for days, and it is bloody awful.
yeah.
I'll send some over to you, James. It's like-
Thanks. You can keep a return envelope in with that as well, please.
Right. Is there anything that you'd like to see in Iceland, like in terms of infrastructure or even just like restaurants or entertainment or, things that we don't already have here?
uh, I mean, how do you mean like with like yeah, so like restaurants and stuff. I mean,
Yeah, or even, yeah. Like
uh,
last time someone said about like more public transport and things, it could be anything, quite
oh
specific.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Not so much. I can't really think of like
Yeah.
restaurants of that, but
Yeah.
yeah, public transport is like dire in Iceland. You really do have to have like a driver's license to get around all right in the country.
hmm
Sometimes you can be waiting for 3 hours plus on like one bus to get you into the capital
Yeah.
sometimes or get you back.
hmm
It's yeah. For as much as they tax the people in Iceland, I'm surprised that they haven't got at least that hammered down, especially considering how big tourism is in the
Yeah,
country.
exactly. Like when I first moved to Selfoss, I was still living in Reykjavik. I was still working in Reykjavik for a few months.
Mhm.
And when I finished my shift, I would just miss the 7 o'clock bus. And the next one to Selfoss wasn't until 10. So I had to wait for 3 hours to get the bus
Yeah,
back to Selfoss.
yeah,
It's
been there, done that.
Yeah,
hmm
yeah, it's awful. Yeah.
I mean, they were taking the buses offline and like getting new ones, but
Mhm.
I don't see why they couldn't keep some of the old ones
Yeah,
running and then just increase
yeah, the
the route
frequency of them.
like availability. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. hmm And is there anything else that you think's missing here? Or
Um, Not really, because I mean, like there were things when I first moved over, that I would have said just niche little things like HP sauce that I missed.
Yeah,
Like
no, we have it though.
Iceland, exactly.
Yeah,
I, Iceland does an uncanny thing to catch up with the rest of like Europe, but maybe in about 5 years' time or
yeah,
something. I always said
yeah,
that jokingly.
yeah,
So I mean, like they got their first Costco in 2017. Like HP sauce is now a thing. They've got like a lot of stores that you would normally get, or if they haven't got the exact same store, they've got the equivalent of it,
yeah,
or just products and things. Maybe I don't know. Maybe like not have the like there's maybe like something that you need for your house or something that you need and you can't get in like the little towns. So
yeah,
then you have to go and make a trip to Reykjavik to go and get those things.
yeah,
So maybe something like that. I mean, I can't think of anything
yeah,
like
but
off the top of my head,
hmm
but you know what I mean with that.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, yeah,
if it if it can't be bought in like a local supermarket, then you or a hardware store, then it's off to Reykjavik you go for the
yeah,
day.
yeah. Or online, even if you can't even get it in Reykjavik sometimes. Yeah,
But then you're at the mercy of postering,
yeah, yeah. Just make up the fees as they
and
go.
that could
Yeah,
exactly. I swear they've got one big giant dartboard in there,
like pay
whatever it
five
lands
thousand
on, that's what they
kroner.
charge.
Yeah, pay 5,000
Yeah,
kroner.
exactly.
That's like 500 or something. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, or they gets lost, and then you're having to play pass
Yeah,
the parcel with your own letter or whatever. It's
exactly.
yeah.
I think the best experience I had with them, my dad sent me a box of Welsh tea and a little like
Yeah.
jokey book that he got in Aldi or something. And the value was £5,
Mhm.
but he didn't put a receipt in because, he didn't think to. And he'd marked it as a gift. And with me, like sometimes it comes through and sometimes it doesn't. But then they sent me a message saying they need the invoice to calculate the taxes. And like there wasn't one because the receipt had long gone. But I was like, oh, but the value's
Yeah.
about £5,
Yeah.
you know. And they were like, well, we need proof of that. And they'd added like a holding charge on and everything because it had been like more than 10 days that it'd been going on. They kept adding these fees onto it. And in the end, I just told them, like, that's okay. Just send it back to him, return to sender, and I'll bring it like the next time I go to visit him. I'll just bring it back with me in my case. And then they released it with all
Mhm.
the fees taken off.
Yeah.
I won.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so happy I won
There's
though.
a life hack.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. There's a
Just
life
like,
hack.
just send it back. It's
So,
fine.
yeah, good thing it wasn't anything that could expire though. If it
Yeah,
was just like
exactly.
dried stuff in a book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or anything really important. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So, what do you wish you'd known before moving here?
Uh, just off the back of what I'd said before, probably just pack warmer clothes.
Yeah,
Like, because I knew it was cold, Iceland,
yeah.
right? It's in the name, but yeah, I'd only my only experience for the country would been in the summer.
Yeah,
So I mean, constant brightness, just kind of warm weather, surprisingly warm weather for a country like Iceland in the summer.
yeah,
But I had the opposite effect of that. Something what I didn't realize that was going to be as bad as was 18 hours of darkness and below minus 20 degrees
yeah,
sometimes in the winter. And yeah, the wind, the sheer just constant wind is,
yeah.
yeah. I think just if I should have done my homework a little bit better, but do you know what? I kind of like going in blind because then
hmm
it felt like I was like just battling against the forces of
Yeah,
nature and just sort of rolling with it, rolling with the punches.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I think just the natural just climate of the weather I think is something I would have liked to have known a little bit better.
yeah. hmm
But that's on me.
Do you ever feel that you'd ever have been able to reach your full potential professionally if you stayed here?
I think it depends on the person, to be honest. I
hmm
mean, I think that just me personally, I said this like to a few of my friends like last week. It's taken me such a long time to get through the stubbornness that is just me of just knowing when to quit, when
hmm
the right time to walk away is.
Yeah,
And I think for me, I mean, as much as I loved Iceland and I loved everything about being there and learning a new language, for me, I think especially as I'm getting a little bit older, I just feel like that I'm more of a home person to
yeah,
be around like my folks, my family and stuff. So I think to be around there, yes. if the person had the right mindset. But for me, I just feel like that my time was to go, and that's not a slight on the country itself. That's just that was my
How
personal
it was.
time to go, and I think it worked out.
Mhm.
Yeah, even though it wasn't my plan to sort of move like this,
Yeah.
it just all happened so suddenly. But sometimes it's a blessing in disguise, and
Mhm.
you just got to go with what the cards are dealt are like. So yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. And do you have a favorite Icelandic word? It can be a bad one, don't worry.
uh, Maybe I don't know if you class it as a word or more of
Yeah,
a phrase,
that's
but
okay.
"dust" is
Yeah.
such a great phrase. You're probably more qualified to explain what that means.
So it just means like everything will work itself out, kind of. And it's yeah, just very it's used in my opinion too much. So
Yeah.
yeah. It's kind of like there can be like a catastrophe, like the world is literally ending, and an Icelander will just come along and say, "That red dust," and like, yeah,
Yeah. I've been told though that it can mean it'll work itself out,
yeah,
but it can also mean that oh it's okay, somebody else will take care of the problem.
yeah, yeah.
Can
I
also
feel
so
like,
yeah.
in my opinion, I feel like that's what they mean when they say it more, more often.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Because I said it to every employer that I worked under, and they always had that sly side smile like they
yeah,
give to you, as if to say, "Ah, you're learning."
yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that is a better translation, actually. Like someone else's problem. Yeah, but hey, that's a good one, actually. That's a good one. Hmm. And so, is there anything else that you'd like to add that we haven't already spoken about?
um, no, I can't really think of anything
No,
else.
no, okay.
No, no, I
Hmm.
don't think so.
That's okay.
If you're happy with the questions
Yeah,
that have been asked,
yeah.
the answers and that.
Definitely. So, what I'm going to do on this series is I'm asking a guest to leave a question for the next guest to answer, not knowing what the question
Okay,
is going to be. So, I have a question for you now. You're going to be on
okay.
the spot. So, what is your favourite Icelandic holiday and why?
The Icelandic holiday. Uh, Honestly, it might sound sad, right? But uh, I think it would have been like any red day because like I say, I was mostly living at work.
Yeah.
So I mean, your Icelandic red days are kind of like your public holidays.
Yeah.
So you would work. Sometimes you would get them off. Sometimes you would work. But if you worked, depending on the company you worked for, it meant you would get what double time,
Yeah.
sometimes more, depending on the
Hmm.
company. And then you could also get like a personal day owed back to you
Yeah.
on top of the extra money. So as sad as it sounds, it just meant that it was you were getting up doing the same work, but you were getting paid extra for it,
Yeah.
which in
Yeah.
this day and age is like liquid
It's
gold. So you just need
mhm,
to grab it, right?
I'm still getting the day off later on as well, which is yeah,
Exactly.
that's a good
Win-win,
answer.
right?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good answer actually. And depending like on what is it, Easter and Christmas, I think it's like triple pay as well. There's like really, really good pay on some days. Yeah, yeah.
And you say Christmas as well, but Icelanders celebrate their Christmas on December 24th.
Yes.
So for people like me and you, that's just like
It's not an issue,
I
is
don't
it?
know about you, but
Yeah. I
exactly,
don't
I was
care.
always used to working it just at regular time
Exactly.
in the UK anyway. So I'm
Hmm.
just like triple pay, yes
Yeah.
please,
Yeah,
cha-ching.
exactly. Exactly. Hmm. Yeah, that's a good one actually. Yeah, it's fair enough. Red days is a
Don't know what that
there's
says
a
more
lot of
about,
them.
yeah, but
Yeah. And there's quite a lot of them.
there are quite a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are about 6 or 7 over the year
Yeah.
or something
Not
like
like
that,
that.
maybe
Yeah.
more.
Mhm. Mhm. And then I think what is it? We get I don't know when they start in the year, but then we get like besides New Year. But then we get a lot over like spring and summer, and then we have a few months where it's like we don't have any, and it's like Christmas, New Year, just over and over again. Yeah, I like that they kind of come
Yeah,
in like clumps like that, so you can make
yeah, yeah, I get you.
yeah, yeah. So you make quite a lot of money in like one month, and then Yeah.
Exactly. I was never that business savvy about it. I was always just sort of like fly by the seat of my pants and just
Yeah.
roll with it. And like usually it would be somebody saying, "Oh, it's a red day tomorrow." Oh, is it? Okay, excellent. I'll have something else to look forward to in my paycheck this month. I'll be watching with intent.
I used to work like as many as possible, and now I just like having the day off. So I'm just like, if I find
Yeah.
out, yeah, if I find out that it's like a red day, but we haven't been asked if we're going to work or not. Like, sometimes they don't ask; they just kind of expect that you're going to work. Sometimes, not often.
Mhm.
I just kind of find the manager, and I'm like, hey, like I'm going to take tomorrow off. It's a red day. Yeah, and they're like, oh, okay. Like they weren't expecting it.
Just hope that you were in before anybody else got the same
Yeah,
idea.
exactly, exactly. Or just don't turn up and pretend you didn't know that you were meant to be in. So,
Oh, yeah, that
see?
sounds like a very Icelandic way of
Yeah,
doing it.
yeah. All right, so that is all the questions. Thank you so much, James, for today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
No worries. So, where can people find you?
Yeah, so I do a little side hustle with my friends, two of my really good friends. A podcast that we started last year called The Good, the Bad, and the Brain Dead, or just The Good, the Bad, the Brain Dead.
Mhm.
Uh, Honestly, it's a podcast that has no sort of goal other than just to make everyone else that listens to it feel better about themselves. Because we have stories that sometimes you wouldn't believe. Uh, we're not above like making a fool of ourselves and telling it for the good of the people, and just really just commenting on life's little
Mhm.
turmoils and tribulations and just putting a funny spin on it. So yeah, the two of my friends, they're originally from America, and they're living in Iceland also. That's how I met them. So really, you're getting two different sides of like the world and the comments on where we're living and stuff. So I think it makes for some interesting stories and entertainment. So you can find us on Spotify. We're also on Amazon Music and YouTube, and it's just the good, the bad, the brain dead, or GBBD pod. I don't know if I could maybe send the link to you, Lauren, on our link
Yeah.
tree, and then it just maybe
Mhm.
people can find us on all of our stuff there. But yeah,
Mhm.
we'd appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you and joining us along for the ride.
Yeah. And I've listened to the podcast, a lot of the episodes, and it's a really good podcast, so I would recommend it. And I will put the links down in the description below. hmm Thank you so much,
Very
Jane.
kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
No
you.
problem. Thanks again for having me.
So that's it for today's interview. Let me know in the comments below what you think. All of James's links are below, and like I said, it is a great podcast and you should go and give it a listen. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!